It's Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2 and 3, starring Son Goku, Prince Vegeta, Majin Buu, featuring everyone else that's not Goku, Vegeta, or Majin Buu. Musical guests, Tower of Power. And here's your host, Johnny.
I'm sorry if that joke's been done before by someone else, but I couldn't resist. It's a bit uncomfortable listening to the music of the original Budokai trilogy ever since the composer of the soundtrack was later accused of plagiarism and fired for it. That's not funny, you fuckers. The 2011 HD re-release of Dragon Ball Z Budokai 1 and 3 features a completely different soundtrack as a result of Kenji Yamamoto's termination. So if you happen to love the Budokai trilogy's original music, that might be a turnoff for you. Still, Budokai 2 is absolutely brimming with funky jazz pieces, no doubt thanks to Tower of Power's influence. It's over the top, but head-bopping goodness all the same. Now, normally I don't begin with a musical critique, but that's only because this video is going to be mostly dedicated to the changes Budokai 2 and 3 brought to the formula, as the core mechanics are still relatively the same.
Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2 was released for the PlayStation 2 in 2003, which was also the time the Nintendo GameCube's port of the first Budokai was released, and if that isn't odd timing, I don't know what is. The GameCube would later get Budokai 2 a year after the PS2 got it, and right after the PlayStation 2 received the third entry in the series. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 never saw the light of day on the GameCube, and I'm assuming sales figures might have something to do with that. I mean, why release the first two games, but not the third one? That poor lunchbox. You can perform signature energy attacks on the fly now, instead of needing to perform a series of punches or kicks before letting one loose. But it's almost entirely useless against a computer opponent. They always manage to sidestep out of the damn way no matter how close it is to the blast. Ultimate attacks had more pizzazz than previously, and in some cases, the defending opponent can save themselves some pain by rotating the analog sticks faster than the attacking player. And some attacks won't pack as much of a punch if the player doesn't fulfill the correct requirements before the attack goes off. You can still customize character abilities and movesets with skill capsules for some added fun and variety, though some are just plain unfair, like Frieza's Spaceship, which essentially gives the asshole 6 health bars to deplete because of how it works. If you really want to be a dick, you can try out the viral heart disease and vaccine combination and watch as your opponent's health slowly decreases while yours remain perfectly fine. Budokai 2 brings Infusion Capsules, where two fighters merge together with a silly little dance and become an all-powerful warrior. So now you can unleash the awesome might of characters like Gotenks and Vegito when you can execute the maneuver properly. There's even a few what-if fusions for this game, like a mix of Goku and Hercule known as Gokule and Tiencha, a combination of both Tien and Yamcha that's still probably ranked below any Saiyan in the series, and Piccolo. Maybe Krillin. From a gameplay angle, fusions can be very destructive because you have unlimited ki when you're fused. Skilled players can do serious damage under the fusion time limit you're given, and their ultimate attacks are among the most powerful in the game. The cast of characters now expands into the Majin Buu saga, so we have Buu himself in 3 separate incarnations, Bobbidi's assistant Dabura, Hercule's daughter Videl, and the Supreme Kai, along with the added transformations that saga introduces like Super Saiyan 3 for Goku, or Majin Vegeta for Vegeta. The larger roster doesn't mask the fact that the core gameplay hasn't really changed, so besides a graphical facelift, which I think still looks great even today, and the added move capsules, choosing between Budokai 1 and 2 is merely over characters and stages. The small tweaks are just that, small, and battles still often fall into who can mash buttons faster than one another. Single player options don't offer much new. Tournament mode is back as a way to earn money for capsules in the skill shop, and knocking opponents out of the ring is still the best way to win matches easily. Dragon World is a mode where you face opponents and collect rewards like capsules and Dragon Balls via this board game across 9 different stages. It's this game's version of retelling story elements, but the way it's told feels like a complete afterthought. It has charm, but it gets boring. Mainly in the later half where they have you refight Frieza and Cell over and over again, while Majin Buu hangs on the opposite end of the board surrounded by countless Cybermen and Cell Juniors. If you want to make things easier, you can try that heart disease vaccine combination I mentioned earlier and win battles that way, but I don't know if it's just me, but Kid Buu really seems to have something against Vegeta. I got my ass whooped in no time flat when I got to him, but the moment I decided to switch to the Supreme Kai, I didn't have nearly as much trouble. I wonder if that was on purpose considering the anime. Wait, what am I saying? The Supreme Kai doesn't do shit in that show. While it's a board game, there's no real strategy to it, just get to your opponent and beat the shit out of him. I'll give it some props for allowing you to customize your characters with the capsules you collect, but that won't hold you over for very long. You're better off sticking with multiplayer. Bobbidi Spaceship is a mode you can unlock after collecting all 7 Dragon Balls in the Dragon World mode. It's just 4 stages of different challenges you can play to collect points for the sake of unlocking more stuff. Considering how limited it is though, it's nothing but a distraction. I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm really skimming over Budokai 2, but that's only because the next entry in the series, Budokai 3, does just about everything better. It's probably the only reason why the HD collection for the PS3 and Xbox 360 only have the first and third Budokai game. You play the first game for its story mode and Budokai 3 for everything else. The third entry in the series improves the formula enough so that it not only makes a good Dragon Ball game, but a good fighting game period. You don't need to be a fan of Dragon Ball to enjoy this one. From a glance it looks largely the same, but Budokai 3 not only diversifies a ton of attacks for that added touch of personality, but it also adds a bunch of defensive options for both players so that matches don't quickly devolve into happy slaps just a few seconds in. By expending ki, you can dodge attacks at point blank range and perform teleport counters to gain the upper hand. In this title, your ki meter slowly refills when you're not using it, so assuming you know how to change things up, you should always have enough energy available for strategic combat and flashy finishers. After building up enough ki, you can enter Dragon Rush mode. During this period, you're harder to knock down and you can perform the character's ultimate attack if you can connect with the appropriate strike. Even if you don't have the proper capsule, you can enter a Dragon Rush to lay on the extra pain, as long as you don't press the same button prompt as your opponent. But again, that's what I love about this game. It gives both players a chance to deal tons of damage or defend themselves, even when things look dreary. What's even better about this is the greater cast of characters now including the addition of movie villains like Cooler and the gargantuan Broly, as well as Omega Shenron from Dragon Ball GT, a series I'm not very fond of, but that doesn't really mean anything when it comes to a fighting game roster. There's also more transformations and power-ups for characters, including Super Saiyan 4 for both Goku and Vegeta, and their alternate fusion Gogeta, who's no doubt the most powerful character in the game in his Super Saiyan 4 mode. The visual flair of battles look and feel way better than before, and pulling off a spectacular looking move is a very rewarding experience. Unlocking all these new abilities and extras requires a lot of time in single player mode, which Budokai 3 has in the form of Dragon Arena and Dragon Universe. Last game had Dragon World, this has Dragon Universe, so I'm guessing Infinite World has Dragon Multiverse. I don't know, I haven't played that one yet. It's more interesting than the board game setup of Budokai 2, and exploring the open world of Dragon Ball Z is pretty cool when you can freely blaze through it all at the speed of sound. You can level up your characters by winning battles and increase specific attributes, collect money for the skill shop, find capsules, and locate Dragon Balls if you explore hard enough. This is also how you can unlock more characters by fulfilling certain requirements. The way it tells the story of Dragon Ball Z still doesn't compare to Budokai 1, but it makes up for it with the things you can do during gameplay. Dragon Arena, I never really got the point of this. You can fight opponents of varying levels to further increase your stats, and there's certain things you can unlock via this mode that you couldn't get in Dragon Universe. But do we really need another method of unlocking stuff that Dragon Universe couldn't easily cover? I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it does feel a bit unnecessary. You don't have to pick this if you don't want to though, so I'm not going to harp on it completely. With the improvements Budokai 3 implemented to make it a more fleshed out fighting game, this was something I played the hell out of back in the mid-2000s. Without thinking too deeply about it, this is probably the fighting game I put the most time and effort into that wasn't Super Smash Bros. Melee. I managed to get a lot of things for this game, like breakthrough capsules for nearly every character, all the stages, and just recently I got the last fighter I needed to complete the roster. Showing the game off via this review only does it so much justice, so the best way to know completely is to try it out yourself. The HD collection is easy to get and really makes the cel-shaded graphics pop out, so get that version if you want to try Budokai 3. Now, could I recommend this over other popular fighters like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat? I don't know, probably not. But Budokai 3 is a good time no matter what. I don't see why you couldn't play both. This is where my general experience of Dragon Ball Z games sort of stops though. I don't have many memories of the Tenkaichi series, so there's probably a reason for that, but maybe I'm overdue for a visit. And I haven't bothered touching the HD games in the lineup like Rage and Blast, Ultimate Tenkaichi, or Battle of Z. If Budokai 3 were the last Dragon Ball game I ever played, I'd be satisfied enough. It's a licensed fighting game done right. Now, I realize that putting Guacamelee and Journey against Dragon Ball Z was kinda unfair to those games, so I'm giving these two one more chance for a review. So which one will I look at next? Like last time, you can follow the link in the description and vote for your pick. Keep in mind, whatever doesn't win will not be the next game I will look at after the winner gets the review. The next selection of games to vote on will be completely different, so make your vote count if you really want me to look at your choice. See you guys next time, and happy gaming.